Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. If you like all things true crime, if you like it delivered in a peaceful, tranquil manner, if you like it clear and concise without drama, then I highly recommend you subscribe. And if you like what you hear, please smash the like button. It's a free way you can help. And now, without further ado, let's dig in. Good morning, my friends. It is Friday. I hope you are having a great day, and I hope you have some fun plans for the weekend. Jay Slater's funeral is going to take place tomorrow. In tribute to her friend, Lucy May Law shared a short video to her Instagram and some photos of Jay dancing at a pool party, and she captioned it, "Always dancing." Tomorrow, his friends and his family will gather at the Accrington Cemetery Chapel for a celebration of life, and people have been asked to wear something blue in his memory. I have some good news on this case today. The Daily Mail is reporting that an inquest into Jay's death has now been opened in his home county of Lancashire. Can I get a hallelujah? I am so happy to hear about this inquest. His funeral, by the way, begins at 10:30 a.m. And no, there will not be a live stream of it, so don't pay anybody any money for that. They are scamming you. Frickin' nasty trolls and scammers come out in all these cases, and it's just disgusting. So for this inquest, it sounds like Rocky and Ayub Kassim will have to answer the hard questions. Now that's something that I would pay to watch in a live stream. Not quite sure what an inquest in the UK constitutes. I did a little research, and here is what I found. This is from the Coroner's Courts Support Service. It says, an inquest is an investigation into a death which appears to be due to unknown, violent, or unnatural causes, designed to find out who the deceased was and where and when and how, open parentheses, meaning by what means, close parentheses. In some inquests, for example, where the person has died whilst in custody or state detention. I love Britishisms. We don't say whilst in the United States, but I really want to use it because it just sounds cool. Whilst. The scope of the inquest can be widened to include the broader circumstances leading to the death, but the coroner decides on the scope of the inquest. The how question is usually the most difficult. Coroners are responsible for making inquiries where the cause is unknown, and the investigations are done on their behalf by a coroner's officer. It is different to other courts because there are no formal allegations or accusations and no power to blame anyone directly for the death. At the end of the inquest, the coroner will give his/her conclusion, and this will appear on the final death certificate. The death can then be officially registered. The next section is titled, When is an Inquest Necessary? And it reads, there are other situations from those given above where an inquest may be held, including where the death occurs in prison or other detention, or where the coroner believes it to be in the public interest to hold an inquest. If, when the death occurs, the attending doctor cannot immediately certify that the death is obviously natural and or expected, it must be referred to the coroner. If there is a possibility that a medical procedure contributed to or caused the death should be referred by the doctor to the coroner, regardless of the time scales involved. At the end of the inquest, the coroner can give the following conclusions about the death. 1. Natural causes. 2. Accident or misadventure. 3. Unaliving. 4. Narrative, which enables the coroner to describe briefly the circumstances by which the death came about. Let's see, that was number 1, 2, 3. 5. Unlawful killing or lawful killing. 6. Alcohol. 7. Drug-related. 8. Industrial disease. 9. Road traffic collision. 10. Neglect, usually contributing to another conclusion, e.g. natural causes. And then 12. Open, meaning that there is insufficient evidence to decide how the death came about. The case is left open in case further evidence appears. The coroner can combine some of these conclusions together. For example, you could have natural causes aggravated by neglect. Neglect is a very narrow legal concept and is not the same as negligence. If neglect is likely to be relevant to the death, legal representation is usually advisable. The coroner's conclusion can only be challenged by a judicial review in the high court. Okay, so here's what happens at an inquest. An inquest is held in public, yay, and is a formal process. Unlike a criminal court case, there is no prosecution and defense. However, the witnesses may be represented by lawyers. The coroner decides who to call as a witness. As part of the investigation, the coroner will request a statement from family members, doctors, or anyone who may have relevant information, and the coroner may call that person as a witness at the inquest. Ayub and Rocky, get ready, because I think you're going to be called. If you are called as a witness, the coroner may ask you to read through your statement or may take you through the statement in court, and you may be asked questions. For obvious reasons, an inquest can become emotionally charged. Very interesting. Here's the bummer. It says, if an inquest is to take place, it can be months or even years before the final hearing, depending on the complexity of the legal and medical issues. Most coroners aim to complete inquests within 6 to 9 months of the initial report of the death. This document goes on to say that as a family, an inquest can be an intimidating process. The coroner will try and help a family as much as possible, but it can be very difficult to make sure that all of the right questions are asked. The coroner asks questions first of each witness. After that, any interested person or their lawyers can ask more questions, but the questions must be relevant to the inquest and its scope. I wonder if the question, Ayub, what were you doing in Tenerife during this period, can be asked. And why did Jay Slater go with you to your remote Airbnb? And why did you opt to stay in a remote Airbnb when you could have been in Los Cristianos? And what do you know about the stolen watch? Also, how did you come to meet Jay Slater? And do you have any friends in common with him? Do you have any idea why Jay opted to hike through that terrain that morning? Was he truly afraid? How do you happen to know Lucy May Law? Have you ever met Brad Hargreaves? And what about the friend named Brandon? When you drove Jay back to Moscow, did you guys stop anywhere? And if so, why and where? Do you know if Jay had taken any illicit substances before he left the Airbnb? Back to the inquest. Again, questions must be relevant to the inquest and its scope, not, for example, about blame. It also says that press can be present at the inquest, and the family doesn't have to talk to the press afterwards. They can if they want to. It is usually best to give yourself some time for reflection after the inquest and before talking to the press. That sounds like good advice for anybody. Okay, well, that's all for now on the Jay Slater case, and I will see you next time on Bed Crime Stories. By the way, I'm writing up another fascinating case about the mysterious death of Ellen Ray Greenberg. Stay tuned for that.
Lucy Lou.
Lucy Lou.
What's happening yet?
What's happening, Gail?
What's
What
happening,
is
Cosette?
Gail?
Lucy Lou.
Lucy Lou.
What's happening yet?
What's happening, Gail?
What's
What
happening,
is
Cosette?
Gail?
Lu-
more passion, more passion, more energy, more energy, more footwork, more footwork, more footwork, more